an
Well,
intro music.
there is intro music.
Okay.
What's
Oh,
going on,
I didn't hear
guys?
it.
Happy Wednesday. Oh, yeah, I don't feed it back through. What's happening, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. We have the one and only Dmitry on. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing excellent this cold Toronto day.
It
How are you
is.
doing?
It is. Reefing season is coming back upon us. That it's getting cold outside again.
Yes. How is I heard the weather in your area is even worse than in mine. Is it?
It's not bad in the daytime. Nighttime's getting brisk. So we both work in technology, more or less. And I'm sure we both use AI quite a bit. And, AI with reefing sounds like a really fun rabbit hole for today. How
I think so as well.
how much have you used AI for reefing or tested it for advice and IDing and different things?
You know what? A fair bit actually on my YouTube channel, maybe 2 years ago when I think ChatGPT 4 came about. This was a perfect opportunity to take some parameters and throw them in and maybe describe some symptoms. And I kind of went through some of the advices, and unfortunately, something that would work well, I think, on the surface, I wasn't really impressed with what the advice was compared to what people with real reefing experience have. What about you?
Now, okay, so this is interesting because this is when it first came out.
Hmm.
So I actually listened to a talk for Patrick that was from Ecotech
Hmm.
originally. He had a talk on AI and reefing, and he was comparing it with experts in the industry versus like ChatGPT, like deep research results and stuff, and like
Hmm.
kind of comparing what it did and how they ranked up against it. It was pretty interesting, and in my experience, obviously hasn't been perfect, but overall it's been fairly solid on like general advice. Um, IDing stuff like dinos and microscopic stuff, I find
Hmm.
it's decent, but it's not 100%. So
Interesting. As a matter of fact, I used it somewhat recently in the deep research when I went through a little bout of dinos.
did it ID it for
And
you properly?
um, no, because I couldn't. I actually, let's do a little segue. How do you actually collect the sample? I have like a little microscope, but I couldn't really figure out like all those photos where you see tons of them. I actually went and I just used the syringe and I kind of went a little bit closer to where the dinos were,
Mm-hmm.
and I sucked it out. And then when I put it under the microscope, I didn't really see anything other than just a few creatures. Am I doing it correctly or?
So what I've done in the past is use a pipette and put on a
Yeah.
slide and put it in, and yeah, usually you can see it. What magnification were you under?
Um, it's a pretty decent microscope. It's an optical one. I think my family got it as a kind of used thing for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take the pipette, do you just take a sample of the water, or you have to
I
take it
take
from
like
a?
some mullimy stuff off the rock and I'll shake it up a little bit and then I'll put on the slide.
So it's
Cause
not free floating.
no, so most dinos are more of a surface dweller to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Some will become free floating at night, so it depends on which type it
Mm-hmm.
is a big thing. So I usually just get it from whatever the funkiness is off the surface because then you're going right to the source. That's what's worked for me.
So I did that,
Mm-hmm.
and when I looked on the microscope, I didn't see anything that looked like a dino.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, what my symptoms were, and just in general, like in my farm,
Yep.
this is actually pretty interesting because I have two tanks, or have two systems. One is my display tank, where my phosphates have always been about 0.4, so very high. And people that are new to the hobby, they always freak out, kind of thinking, "Oh my god!" But like it's the tank is looking exceptional, and I never see any algae in there whatsoever, and the corals look amazing. My farm, on the other hand, is super hungry, right? So it just consumes everything. So if I do sometimes miss checking parameters properly or whatever, if I hit zeros,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a bit of a world of hurt for maybe a month or whatever until I kind of write it back out. So when it happened last time, I did do two things, and we're going to come back to the AI, which is the main topic.
Yep.
So I did try to diagnose, and I actually did not actually see anything that looked like a dino per se, but with my eyes, I did see that towards the second half of the day, there's lots of things that kind of start producing oxygen.
Yeah.
And I thought that these were dinos. And that comes back to our topic. So what I was doing is I was describing the symptoms, doing the deep research, and what it was kind of giving me is pretty standard. I think the summarization of all reef to reef forums, if so to speak, and maybe a few articles, thrown in. So all of the common things, do the less light, do the what else? Add some phosphates, maybe have a UV, and so on and so forth. And I did actually, I already have a UV on my system and tried a few other things. And it was kind of telling me that maybe this is not dinos if it's not meeting those particular requirements or how to fix it.
Now, that being said, those fixes don't apply to all types of dinos, right? So it might depend on what it is.
I did go, the second step was I did go to YouTube and I tried to look at all the popular videos, like Top Shelf Aquatics did one and a few others. But if you look at them carefully, nobody really quite gives you the silver bullet, so to speak. And even then, if you start looking at the different types of dinos, they all say, well, like on the most popular one, most of the time it works, but sometimes it doesn't. And all the others is just, it also kind of works, but sometimes it doesn't. It's not black and white.
Yep. No, for sure. And it is definitely a battle and a rabbit hole. I know, when I had golden algae or chrysophytes or whatever, which is such a broad term, it took me forever to figure out what the frick it is because nothing would match it perfectly or idea. So that was definitely a battle.
How bad was it?
For me, it was bad for quite a while. It was definitely
interesting.
A battle. Yeah. The kitchen sink eventually won, but it was a long battle.
I can sympathize. One interesting conversation I had with guy Alex from Alex Reef. He's pretty popular, and we sometimes exchange messages. Great guy. So if anybody hasn't seen his channel, I highly recommend it. But he kind of told me he always sometimes have like very unconventional approaches. He thinks that there is a way to die out the dino by like increasing the light and like starving it out almost, so that the corals and algae will kind of pick it up. I don't know, when I tried explaining that to ChatGPT, it did not agree with me.
That's fair.
And I was
that's something I've tried.
A little bit afraid.
Yeah, like supposedly you can like outcompete with diatoms, certain ones and different things, right? So but again, it depends which one it is. And without IDing, it's hard to know for sure. Otherwise, it's just like generic advice.
Yeah. But I think we're only going to get better with AI, primarily because it's not only the Reef to Reef, but it's also YouTube. And, it's learning from everything. And eventually, if there's any morsels of or anecdotal experiences that actually do work, they will kind of get in there, and eventually people will try it.
No, it's very true. What about, have you tried using it for IDing like pests and different stuff in your tank, or corals even? Actually, that's a good one.
No, I don't think it will be very good just yet. However, as you know, I run Aquatic Log, and one of my projects over time has always been I maintain like a very large categorization system of images and what they are, because people all over the world upload photos and then they name them. And I don't think the regular ChatGPT will know a difference between, let's say, a Walt Disney acro and like maybe like a pink Cadillac. So it will
Yep.
probably organize and say that this is a particular species of
Yeah.
Acropora,
It
maybe.
got torch coral right. I just tried it.
Yes, but it won't tell you if it's a Son of God or New York Knicks or
That's fair.
one of those,
But those
right?
are also like common hobby names, right?
Well, I think this is for us reefers. These are the ones that actually are the most interesting
Yeah.
and the most important, in my opinion, right? And, like this is what you know. If you get into the world of zoos, it doesn't really matter if it's a zoo or not. What matters is, you know, a particular type of zoo.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. Oh,
I don't
got
know. Have
iguana
you
wrong. It said it's pulsing xenia. It didn't get the
there
guani
you go.
right.
Have you watched Peacemaker,
No, is
the
it good?
show? It's pretty good. But in the second season of it, and you know the premise. There's a superhero. He's got a bird called Eagly. So it's an eagle.
Yeah.
But there is a character on the show that has bird blindness.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he knows it's a bird, but he cannot tell what kind of bird it is. So he keeps calling it like a pigeon or a parrot or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and like it kind of gets funny. But I do have a zoa blindness. I cannot tell one zoa from another,
Yeah.
personally.
That's fair. I used to be hardcore into them, so I have a basis.
It's there you
Yep.
go.
Yeah, some other good ones. So there is lots of people that have made like AI reefing apps specifically.
Yep.
There is different stuff. Part of it's based on how well you train it. I do now
Let
how
me,
okay, go ahead. I know you've
you
dabbled.
yes. So you don't train those models. Like
Mhm.
that's the kicker. All the models out there are pre-trained on like massive $10 billion systems,
Mhm.
and each training takes many weeks and a lot of money that nobody that you and I know even get close to.
Yep.
However, what you can do is you can give it some context, and those context windows can be very large,
Mhm.
meaning that you could, for example, give it, here's the name and the image and so on and so forth. However, you would almost have to do that for every type of session, and it's transient, so it will actually disappear after a certain period of time.
Yep. So
Um, yeah.
I guess here's a question. Okay, have you dabbled with adding AI into your app at all?
Not yet. And my thought process on this is the following. It's a little bit too early. Like we're in this little strange phase right now where it's a bit of a fad.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go on App Store, almost every application now, let's add AI to whatever it is. So whatever you have, let's have an AI, and we'll kind of do that.
We
And
don't know what it
it's a
is or
lot
why
of
we
it.
need it, but we need it.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And I don't really want to do it just yet
Mm-hmm.
because I want to let this kind of cool off a little bit. And then I'm probably going to do this. But right now I ask myself, like, what other applications out there that I use outside of reefing
Mm-hmm.
that where I do find it useful? Because I did try a few of those apps right now, and I was not impressed. Like, it will definitely give you a suggestion, and it will be very certain about this. But I've looked at what this tells me and like what I know from doing reefing for 15 years, and I wouldn't want to follow that advice,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. What was your experience?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I asked stuff for fun just to like test it.
Hmm.
And I would say it's like 80% good advice, 20% questionable, as a general basis, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
As you have to pay for every request as well, so it has to make sense financially for this. So in addition to the amount of money that you pay for hosting, which
Mm-hmm.
nowadays is not cheap at all.
Well,
Um,
I guess in a technical sense,
mhm.
is there any difference or added context of like a reefing AI app versus just ChatGPT itself? Or
I
are
don't
they
think
just,
so.
yeah.
I think it's actually going to be worse because if you're doing like straight chat GPT, you
Mm-hmm.
can say, I want a bigger model, or you can play a little bit with the not this prompt, or you can just kind of ask, you can give it a lot more information from that
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Whereas, where if it's an application, it usually uses slightly inferior model just because it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And on the plus side, it does have all your data, so you can actually say, like, I can very easily right now take, say, the last 2 months of my measurements plus all of the equipment for the aquarium, the size, maybe some photos and everything else, and I can throw it in and see what it kind of will
Yeah.
speed back. But I think that most of the stuff right now, you can just take the chat GPT and give a very specific example of whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is, and you'll get a pretty sound advice.
Yep. Okay, so Hagen's Reef in the chat says, what he's learned over the last 7 months is to keep a specific chat for reefing. So yeah, it keeps that context and history.
Correct.
He says he starts a new chat, it's all over the place. So yeah, that's fair. If you do, because it kind of takes the old stuff into as context, more or less, right? So it gives it more of a time frame, or not like a way to like frame its response, and it's kind of like training it, but not really, but gives more context to work with.
I think it's a very good advice. If you have a session or even just multiple of those chats, you can specify the size of your aquarium and maybe information of when it started, blah blah blah. You can export the data from aquatic log, for example, paste it there, and
Mm-hmm.
but then you can customize it to whatever you want. And sometimes, let's say, I'm sure you found the same thing. If you use ChatGPT, if you ask plain ChatGPT, you'll get one answer. But if you're gonna go with a plus or pro or whatever, like a deep one, you'll get a completely different level of task.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you want something light and quick, but sometimes I'm willing to wait. As with my dinos, I'm willing to wait for 20 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
I want like the most comprehensive
Yep.
suggestion.
Yeah. Well thought out response is actually like based on research, not just like the quick whim answer.
Yes.
Yep.
But just to come back even to your very early question, I did find that some of the suggestions that ChatGPT was giving, I think, while they're canonical and maybe safe, um, they would go a little bit against maybe some of my personal experiences or things some other reefers I know do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they like, to give you an example. Well, a very good example would be this notion that the corals, the acros, have to be in 0.04 to 0.08 phosphate,
Mm-hmm.
and like you want nitrates to be somewhat on the low side. I'm sure back in the day, like say in Reef to Reef or Reef Central days, especially, this was the advice.
Yep.
And but from my personal experience, when I know new people that come into the hobby and they try to maintain those parameters, it's almost always ends very very bad because of the dinos and all the other things. Because this is like very razor thin edge, and most of the time you can easily have 0.2 phosphates. And you and I talked about it many times. You'll have no problem. There's not going to be any crazy algae, and you will not see your colors get diminished or something like that.
And I have
But
very high phosphates. My corals are all fine.
that's exactly right. But the chat
Yeah.
GPT will never say that. It will probably gravitate towards this
Because that's
because,
the training set of the internet's concession for many years.
correct.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's fair. What uses do you think is useful in reefing? Like what times are you like, oh yeah, definitely trust it for that?
Well, I was thinking a lot about, like, say, fish compatibility.
Yep.
I think this would be a pretty good one. Identifying some corals. I'll give you one example where this was super, super helpful. On my website, so treasurecorals.com,
Mm-hmm.
I have a bunch of corals. And for each one of them, I used to, just type a little description and maybe the name, but I was always find it hard to come up with a nice description or for this particular coral. Like I have 100 different corals that I grow. For each one of them to write a description, it's such a
Yeah.
huge task. However, I create like on, I think it was on Anthropic, so Claude. I kind of said, give me something that's accurate, but also enticing, but also put in their coral species,
Hmm.
put in there, what kind of lighting and parameters it wants, the par that it wants, etc., etc. And guess what? After that, you just throw it, let's say, pink Cadillac, and it will give you this much text.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's quite accurate. So this was
Now,
excellent.
do you spot check it or critique it, or you're just like,
I did not spot check it. So I did couple,
yeah.
and they were fairly accurate.
Hmm.
Sometimes it kind of says things a little bit differently, but most of the time it's in the right ballpark.
Yep. Well, that's fair.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
then, just for my own curiosity, have you done a bit of a comparison, like in the different, Claude versus GTP versus, DeepSeek versus whatever? Like, have they been consistent, or are some, way better than others in your experience?
That's a very good question because I think a lot about it. I do a lot of programming,
Hmm.
and I find that for, let's say, for programming, I have my own preferences. I think that Claude and ChatGPT are phenomenal, and let's say Google is a little bit behind.
Hmm.
But I heard from the, let's say, text and some documents, Google is a lot better. But it also, each one of them has all those different tiers.
Hmm.
And then I think it also matters sometimes. Let's say if you tell one of them think hard or do
Yeah.
one of those things, it will give a different answer. But it's a living and breathing creature, and whatever we get even right now, I think 3 months from now you may get completely different results and a different race between them.
Hmm. No, that's true. Fish compatibility you mentioned earlier, that's actually a good one, especially for like a new reefer that doesn't know. I think that's a
Mhm.
really good starting point. Um, I
But
do, but
there is a but there.
there's always
When you say that,
there's always a but.
um, back in the day before ChatGPT, we always had the inches per gallon rule, right? And
Yep.
when you start out, you're thinking, oh, that's the real thing, but we all know that it's not. Like it's actually does not make a lot of sense. It's a good kind of maybe rule of thumb when you're just starting out.
Hmm.
And I bet, I haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure that if you will start using ChatGPT, it will be a lot more conservative in terms of what you can do, because it won't know the landscape of your tank unless you kind of qualify how many holes and how established it is, and also the size of the fishes. And maybe even then we all know that some people will have issue with two tanks of the same kind, and some people won't.
Hmm.
And a lot of it is just the order that you've introduced them, or just draw of luck.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's a lot of the stuff that you don't get the nuances.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I think for somebody new, it's still a good, like if you're struggling to find an answer, it's a good, like, general ballpark idea.
Yeah, don't put in maybe a triggerfish with some shrimp or something like that.
Hmm. Hagen's Reef, side topic. Dmitry, what was your results when using the AI blades, as you mentioned, as source lighting? And are they enough to support SPS dominant system?
Well, I'm a huge fan of AI blades.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, you and I have been like kind of the first people in Canada to put them on our tanks, and I've had experience on multiple tanks with them, solely by them, and primarily the Grow model. I think it's comprehensive enough. I had high-end SPS system and had no problem with the lighting. And when I started my new massive aquarium, the 7 feet, this is where I went with blades exclusively, and I never looked back. So I'm extremely, extremely happy, both from the color spectrum, which to me is one of the most important things. Like I want to see the tank with a certain way, and the corals are super happy. So
Nice.
yeah, no problem. What about you?
I like the blades. I think they're awesome lights. I love that they're silent. That's
Hmm.
always a big. It's always a big feature for me. And yeah, I was actually rather surprised with how much par I got out of them. And yeah,
I
I
know.
thought they're pretty cool. So I got the blade edges on the tank beside me, and I got XR30s on my main tank. But yeah, no, I had the blades for quite a while as just like accessory lights, but they're too long for this tank, so they're not on right now. But yeah, they're cool lights. I like them.
Couldn't agree more.
Yep. Other question. Chris, I'm about to start a water box 290.6, which is the big beast. Very nice. Estimate 100 hours of YouTube getting ready. I still don't know what lights I should be putting on the tank. Yeah, so like on my bigger tank, like I do love my Radions. I think they're super cool lights, but yeah, you have a lot of different options on what you want to do.
Blades. In my opinion, like I have a farm, and in a farm I use both radions and blades as a combination. And I do love radions. Don't get
Hmm.
me wrong. This is kind of my first love. But for my big tank, I want something that where the light completely disappears,
Mm,
and blades just hover, like there's nothing above and below, and
super
I think
thin.
it just changes the look. I do have like a little visor that I make that I put so that there's no glare, and then you basically have best of both worlds. It's kind of like a canopy, but there's no canopy.
Yeah. Do you get much glare off of them? I've always had mine super low, so I've never actually had them elevated.
I'm particular where the tank is fairly tall,
Hmm.
and it's in the kitchen, and I'm sitting down fairly low. I personally, I'm a huge fan of very low sitting tanks.
Yep.
But like one of my very good friends, for example, is the exact opposite. He will never look at a tank unless it's like starts at 40 inches.
Yeah.
Um, I'm more like if I could bring something down to 20 inches or 24 inches, I would probably do it, but it's not practical because you can't put a skimmer there and everything else. So I
Yeah.
understand that. But where the tank is fairly tall and the table is lower and kind of the angle, I would see a little bit of a light. But
Hmm.
these visors that I make, I just put one on each blade,
Yep.
and then you don't see any glare, and I
Nice.
want zero.
I like it. I like zero
Yeah.
glare. Makes me happy. Do 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 do. K13. I have Radeon and Night Crew welfare brand. You have both ends of the spectrum there, buddy.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I love Radeons. The Night Crews are actually like decent bang for your buck for a budget light.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yep. I haven't tried it, but I'm still tempted to try one of the Stratons one day because I think they're also sexy looking lights. But
They are, and especially, are you talking about those square ones?
yeah, I think I'm a little bit tempted to try one of the flex ones. Those little like big. They're basically like a blade but bigger, more of a
Yeah,
panel. I don't know. They're probably all similar, but aesthetically they're pretty.
we all always want to try different things, right?
Yep.
Just can't help it.
I know. Happens.
That's a good case for AI as well.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants a light, this is what you do, and I'm sure if you structure the question properly, it'll count all the number of diodes and the spectrums and everything else. I remember now what I used AI for as well.
What's that?
Um, that's a good case. I was doing two things. I was doing videography and photography, and I wanted to adjust the color spectrum of the light
Mm-hmm.
to kind of align with my camera. And when I asked the ChatGPT, I said, I have this many lights of this brand. This is the generation. Give me the exact sliding settings for each channel so that when let's say I shoot a video, it will kind of look the nicest. And it
Yep.
thought very hard and then gave me some numbers. And then it was ChatGPT, and then I tried one Claude, and Claude thought very hard and also gave me a bunch of numbers. There was a little bit of like mistakes in both of them where like it was saying channels that don't exist per se.
Yeah.
And when I tried it, it wasn't 100% there, but it was pretty close. Like it was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I like it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I paid 4,800, 4,500 for a new water box. I'd say it's a good deal. I don't know if that's Canadian or US, but in Canadian it sounds cheap. Um,
Yeah, that's a big tank as well.
hmm Okay, so interesting. Okay, I just asked ChatGPT for fun what it recommends for lights, and it gives like a massive spread.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, I
Oh,
don't
and
know.
you can also use it to generate a lighting schedule for you or make some suggestions there.
Okay, so on this one, I'm gonna say mixed opinions here. So, okay, it identifies the tank as 72 by 29 by 25, which I believe is correct. You know,
Okay.
par target 2 to 400 across for acros. It's good advice. So far, I take it. When it comes to the lights, though, okay, so here's some potential options. Okay, there are a couple
Mm-hmm.
Orphic bars, Aqua Lumina and Prime HD 6. So I would argue Prime 16s
What?
are too small. Like that's not good advice. It says you could put 3 or 4 of them. That's not enough. Blade Grow,
For the
agreed.
29, sorry, 290?
Yeah.
That's is
Yeah.
it?
No,
So
that's
sorry.
you need more than that for that big beastie
That
tank.
that's a very bad advice.
Yeah. So like, so it's you know, so some of the recommendations I don't agree with. Some of them are like okay. So 50-50 here.
I would agree with that, and that's actually my concern, and this is what I've experienced
Mm-hmm.
so far. But again, if you were to take this, maybe rephrase it a little bit, maybe a little bit more specific, make sure you didn't make any mistakes with the units and things like that. Maybe copy paste the size of the tank as well, so that it doesn't
You
have
got it
to
right. You
do
got it
that.
right. So yeah.
Agreed.
Yep. Um yeah, it's also a hybrid approach. Like there is some good advice, but there's also some
Mm-hmm.
questionable stuff. So again, you take it with a grain of salt.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you liking the AF4 automated frozen feeder? Pretty cool actually. So I
S-
put the frozen food
Yeah, I
feeder in my tank.
remember.
Yeah. So it's pretty
So,
cool.
what do you put inside?
Oh, I have mysis, I have canalus, I have Fido, I have oyster feast, and something else. Special blend.
Okay, walk me through this. So you have right now this you start out with them being frozen, correct? So it's
Correct.
just cubes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So
I'm still waiting for this company to reach out and say hi to me as well. So yeah.
yeah, so basically there's a little thingy in there. It's
Okay.
200 mils worth of stuff.
Okay.
You can put in whatever you want inside. It's basically a little tiny freezer, and it keeps it. You add high salinity salt water to it, so it doesn't freeze because like your mice and stuff has water in it, and it makes it basically like a slurry that it will keep for roughly 3 weeks, and just automate feeding. And little pumps like feeds the tank.
3 weeks.
Yeah, on the maximum cold they say 21 days.
Okay, so walk me. You said 200 mil.
Yeah,
So 200 mil. How many cubes of
quite a bit.
hypo-
Quite a bit.
hypothetical?
Oh, it says approximately 50 average size cubes of food.
Okay, so 50 cubes, and then you need to thaw them, or it will
Um,
thaw automatically.
it thaws it itself. It keeps it cold enough to keep it fresh, but it's like keeps it that like slurriness. But you couldn't use like RO water because it would freeze, right? You got to do. So I just made some fresh salt water that it was like stupid high salinity, just because then it's not gonna freeze.
How did you do that? How
You
did
have to
you know
watch my
how
video.
much?
I just made it up. I just kept putting stuff in there until I filled it up. But yeah, but just putting like Fido in there and like Canalus and
Okay,
Mysis
I
and
will do that.
I think it's pretty cool. Now I need one on both tanks now, so I have to feed one tank manually, but it's cool
Ooh,
to just automate all the feeding. So I haven't. It's just doing its own built-in schedule now. But at some point
yeah.
I'll add in the Apex cable, and then I'll be like, okay, feed the tank, turn off the pumps, and I'll make it more elaborate. But
What? How long you been doing that now? A month?
a week,
Give it a week, huh?
yeah, like maybe a week and a half or whatever. Fairly recent.
Uh, did you notice any changes?
Less work for me. The fish like it. I think
Well,
the bigger advantages is I might do like a smaller feeding in the afternoon than one at night, rather than just one big feeding at night as they normally get, just to like split it up so they're having more consistent meals throughout the day.
so how much of it comes out, let's say once, like throughout the day? Like,
Probably like the minimum's like roughly a cube of food worth, but it depends. Like either you can adjust however much you want to come out.
what have you set it up so far?
I had it on the
Uh,
second setting for feeding, but then I'm gonna drop it down to the smaller one and just do it more frequently.
So the second setting was what, 2 cubes roughly?
I don't know, something like that. I don't know how
I'm
you
just
exactly
thinking.
measure it, but
No, but like I'm just thinking, like, okay, where do you have it in your, like, how do you position the
so
thing?
my future plan is I'm going to feed it into the return pump and let that feed through the return nozzles. That's my long-term plan after when I reset up the
Ah,
tank. But for now, I just have it shooting out right into the
ah,
MP60. So within like 2 seconds, the whole tank is covered in food because it's feeding right beside the MP60. That sucks it.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing for now. But my tank's coming down in a few weeks. A new
Mm-hmm.
tank will be coming up in a few weeks. So once I'm gonna refine and redo it all when the new tank's in. But I gotta take it all apart first and do flooring.
And how? Okay, I have so many questions. How long is the line?
6 feet.
6 feet. So what happens to everything in that line?
It flushes it out afterwards.
Oh,
So there's two
that
hoses.
is
One goes to the tank and
okay.
one's in there. So it
Yeah,
pushes the food out. Then after it
yeah.
feeds, it closes the little valve and then it uses the other line to flush it out with tank water to make sure the lines are cleared out.
That is smart.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
I
they did a
like
good
it a
job.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my newest toy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm officially jealous now.
No, fair enough. So no AI in it, but it is cool to be able to automatically feed frozen food.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Mm-hmm. I know. So I'm really not looking forward to moving my tank and breaking it down and resetting it all up, but c'est la vie.
No.
Yep.
I can't wait to see you. And sorry, what's the new tank? Is it going to be the same
It's
tank
the
or
same
different?
tank.
So,
Well,
okay.
I have
What are you going to?
the
Yeah, go
newer
ahead.
version of the water box tank to replace the older version of the water box tank, but it's more or less the same tank, but it has like the aluminum stand and all that stuff. And then my
Oh,
buddy's
nice.
getting my tank. So, but
What's
it's
what
basically
was the
the same tank.
previous?
The
What
the
was,
6 foot peninsula.
right,
It's just
but
a
what?
newer version of it.
So what's different when you say aluminum? What was the other one?
Oh, the stand. Like the stand's all wood now, and the new one's like 30 or whatever, like aluminum T slot, and then with all the doors and stuff, skins it afterwards.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I,
I'm interesting too. I do kind of like the idea of playing with the T slot stand because then I could really easily make and attach stuff and mount stuff inside of it, which will
I
be kind of
know.
fun. Yeah. So I'm kind of excited for that.
It does sound pretty cool.
Yep.
Okay. I'm
When
looking
they
forward
were
to that.
delivering it, the first day they couldn't get it off the jack because the board was breaking in the middle, so they couldn't jack it up and it was like
Yeah.
dragging, so we couldn't get it off the truck. So they came back the next day with something called a Moffat, which is like a badass forklift. Where is it? I took a picture of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that must be nerve-wracking to think about it.
Oh, this is the way to get something delivered. Look at that, baby.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. That
That's the way
is,
to get the delivery off the truck.
yeah.
But yeah,
How did you get it inside the house?
it's in my parking spot. But my old tank is still up, right? I still got to take down the tank, got to put everything in a temporary tank, rip out all the flooring, redo the flooring, and then set it all back up again.
How are you gonna get the tank in? Like, I mean, how many people do you think you'll need?
3 other people, 4 people,
Okay.
1 person each
Yeah.
corner. It sucked, but I've done it before. Do it again.
I hear you. I
Yep.
hear you.
No fun, but yeah, gotta do what you gotta do. They're freaking heavy. Yes, they are. I remember how much it sucked getting it up the stairs, around the corner, over the banister, and up the stairs the first time. So now I gotta take one out and put them back in. It's gonna suck, but it'll be good when it's done. 80/20 aluminum stand, so simple to assemble. Yeah, I love extruded aluminum, like the T-slot stuff. It's so cool to build with. It's like big kid Lego.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used it for building stuff in the past. So I think the stand out of it will be cool. And I like the idea that I could just like 3D print something and just pop in a couple T-slots and mount my dosing pump and like, or you could put in a little bracket and make a shelf. Like it's really easy to add on to, which I think will be cool.
I agree.
Yep. Mine was over 400 pounds to bring downstairs. Yeah, I know. They're not light. But yeah, I think, 3 to 4 people, you can move it. Sucks, but you can
Make
do
sure to have a stack of beer in the
it.
fridge.
Yeah, beer and pizza bribes.
Yeah.
The universal payment for buddies. Stupid Starfire. Yeah, I mean, there's acrylic, but then it scratches, and then that's not nice.
No, we don't want that.
Yep. Okay, someone said a minute ago. AI idea. What was it? I missed it. AI powered fish with UV laser eyes to hunt and kill aptasia. I mean, there's copper bands and aptasian foulfish for that. So,
No comment.
so I had a crab, a Halloween hermit crab that was eating one of my torch heads the other day. I was like, son of a crab.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh wow, that's that can get expensive very quickly.
Yep. So I haven't seen him do it again yet. I took him off and put him back on the sand bed. But if he does it again,
Okay.
he's getting evicted. Look at this little punk.
Oh wow.
I was like right in the middle, just eating a torch head. I'm like, you bugger. So that happened.
That's nice.
I don't know about nice, but I was like, what?
Um,
But I had a torch, a different torch head that just like bit the dust a while ago. I was like, what happened? And then I caught him in the act. I was like, yep.
for me, for a while, it was my dory. It developed a liking to just kind of be nipping at the torches. But then I took it out and then I brought it back in, and then it never really did it again. So
Yeah. Well,
just goes to show you.
at least that's a good thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. What else we got for around AI and reef tanks? Any other strong correlations of?
Well, I think speaking still on lighting, you can use that to help you build a lighting schedule.
Yep.
With the exact presets, and it certainly is going to be better than just nothing from that perspective. So I think that's a good example.
Okay.
Another one is ICP, and I did do a video a long time ago to just kind of try to analyze it. But I think now this is like such a simple, like obvious step for all of those ICP companies to just run this and see what kind of suggestion it will make. I think most of it already does exactly that anyways. So that's a good example.
Yep. Yeah, actually, analyzing ICP results is probably actually a really good one because that's confusing for a lot of people. And that it would be able to pull out a technical of like where stuff should be in theory.
Yes.
All right, next ICP, I'm gonna try it. See what it does.
Yeah, I'm curious about this. I did try one a while ago, but again, it was ChatGPT 4. Wasn't super impressed with kind of the takeaway. But then again, there's just something to be said about all the very experienced reefers. I I don't know, Worldwide Corals, for example. I just don't see those guys geek out on the AI. Most of them have so much of the actual hands-on experience that no AI is going to be anywhere near in
No,
the
100%.
short term.
Yeah, it's hard to beat long-term experience, right? But if you don't have that, if you don't have like
Yes.
a hardcore reefer buddy, then I think it's a good backup plan.
I agree.
80%.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone in Canada do ICP tests? Not that I'm aware of. All the ones that I've done, I've had a mail off. Do you know what does in Canada?
No, I think there's no machine in Canada, so you do need to, there's fauna. They send to Germany. I think the Oceano also
Like you could send it
goes
somewhere in
there.
Canada, but they just reship it away, right?
Yeah, they will. So,
Maybe it saves a
what
bit of
about
shipping.
the States? How many labs do you think there are in the States as well for that
There's a
one?
couple, although
Yeah.
a lot of them ship it away. There's the one by Meckley. That's I know he talks about a local
ICP
guy.
analysis or
Maybe I'm blanking on the
what?
name, but I know he has
Yeah.
somebody close that he uses. I'm like, that's convenient. He can just do them weekly if you want. Just take it down the road.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's probably a few there. How often do you do ICPs in your tank?
I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
I just kind of, for me, one of my role models is Jason Fox. I just figured that, and this guy doesn't seem to kind of do it. At least he's not out there telling about how he does, but from what I understand, and at least in my head, I have an image of a guy that's a little bit more of a choral whisperer and just keeps things as simple as possible. And I've tried the approach of playing with every element and everything else is just not me. I am that kind of person. I
Mm-hmm.
like this idea. So I'm a lot more about the recipe. I'm a baker, not a cook.
Yep.
But when it comes to my personal experience with the ICP, it just has never really given me the same results as just increasing the water changes and focusing on the basics.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I
But
know a lot of people that are super successful otherwise
well,
as well.
the hard thing for me is okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do water changes and you play mad scientist and you individually dose trace elements, I think it's a good idea to periodically do them. If
Mm-hmm.
you have a
100%.
smaller system, I kind of half argue that for the price of my ICP test is do a bunch of big water changes, and then you're probably reset. So
I agree.
yeah.
Not only for the price of a ICP, also price of all the elements.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put them in the equation as well. And if you do add all of this up and your time, maybe you should just get one more box of salt and write it out.
Yeah, but I don't know. I still do them every like periodically.
Mm-hmm.
Probably means like 6 months or a year. I'll eventually do one, and then if anything's out of whack, I'll like tweak the individual chemicals to get it like back to the happy range. So I do
Yeah,
periodically do it, but
I agree.
yeah. So once in a while I can for good measure. But again, if you never do a water change, you're mad scienting all the individual chemicals, then you do want to be more in touch to make sure what you're dosing is within the happy realms. You're not, overdosing something.
I would agree.
Underdosing is usually pretty safe. Overdosing is usually what ends up being trouble.
Yes.
Yep. And then, but now I'm curious to do one and see if ChatGPT analyzes my results properly.
Well, don't do one until you switch tanks if you're shutting one down.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not going to bother now if I'm going to be moving and redoing it all. I'm not looking forward to moving tanks. It's taunting me. That's
Yeah.
the no fun part of this hobby is when you got to move a tank.
What are you gonna do differently?
I am going to redo, obviously, like all my wiring, everything, and just completely, I don't know. I might simplify a few things, do a little decluttering. And I'm going to rid my end rock in my tank because there's 10,000 of those minty paleozoas on there I don't like. And I'm going to like rid those from my tank. That's definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
My curls are going to get a good thinning hacking as I do it. Just like
Mm-hmm.
thin it out and make more space.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What about the landscape, our aquascape? Are you gonna do anything differently for that one?
I think the 2/3 of it will stay the same, and I'll do something different at the end peninsula part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity to maybe change up your fish selection. That's something you will never have a chance to do otherwise. Are you gonna do anything there?
Nothing planned.
Okay.
So for now they're staying, but we'll see. But that is a fair point. I'm gonna clean my sand really well, like
Yeah.
basically make it new again. Which sucks
How are you
because it's
gonna do
getting colder
that?
out. I am gonna keep one container of current sand for the rastances in the meantime, and the rest of it I'm just gonna hose it all out. It's gonna suck. It's getting colder out, but basically just fill up some buckets, pop the hose in the bottom, and let it all percolate out and get all the junk out, which will kill it off, all the good bacteria. But it will get all the junk out of it too, right? You'll get rid of the whole kitty litter that's been building up the past 5 years.
That answers my question in terms of the age of the tank. So I wanted to do something similar, and this time around I wanted to because when I was moving things, I was faced with the
Yeah.
same dilemma. What I ran into was even after the rinsing, the sand itself is kind of gray.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the algae that stuck to each individual pieces and just all the gunk or whatever it
Yeah.
is. So it doesn't matter how much you rinse, it's duller. So if you look at the brand new sand and this, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay an extra $80 or whatever, and I'm gonna go with the new
It'd be
sand.
a couple $100, but in theory, you could use an acid and
Yeah,
take off
yeah,
the
yeah.
You could use like not hydraulic acid. What's it called? Something similar to that.
Yeah.
You could use an acid that would
Yes.
dissolve the outer layer, and it would probably freshen it up.
Well, you can just do bleach.
Yeah, bleach. Yeah, K13. Yeah,
Say,
that could work too.
yeah. So do
Yeah,
bleach and then some prime, and then it's gone.
dechlorinate it
So
afterwards. Yeah, that's actually not a
uh,
bad idea.
yeah, that's probably what I would do. But I figured I just wanted some new scent.
Yeah, but yeah, basically I just put it in a big container. Yeah, muriatic acid. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah,
That would work because it would start dissolving it, right? As it dissolves the outer layer, which would contact first, it would definitely get
agreed.
rid of that. And I think that's that or bleach. Yeah. But I don't think I overly care about that. I just want to get all the junk out of it because I have chronically high nutrients. And that's probably a chunk of it. You just think of like all these caves and like chunks of the tank that I can't get to that the tang's always hanging in. It's probably just nasty and gross in there.
Sure it is.
We'll find out. I guarantee it will be. So yeah, that's kind of my plan on that front.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Start thinking of like maybe adding one crazy fish there that you always wanted. This is the opportunity to kind of reintroduce something
Yeah.
into the system at the same time.
All right. I'll ponder. I'm still
Yeah.
going to be just begged from doing flooring for days, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. If I see anything
Okay.
cool appear at any of the
Yeah.
stores, we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I don't know. That's my excitement.
Sounds fair.
How about you? Any new excitement?
Well, I find that the colder it gets outside, the more time I want to spend inside.
Mm-hmm.
I think my goal is to really focus on the farm this year. Just I really enjoy growing. I'm starting to grow more and more um, esoteric or harder to keep species as well
Mm-hmm.
that are just kind of more beautiful and more interesting. So it's a good challenge, and that is what I've been doing. I've really expanded my torch palette now. I've got like I don't know 8 different species that I've been growing, and some of the
Nice.
colors are just insane. And then slowly and acros, like I've got some pretty cool acros that I don't think I've ever fragged.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'm gonna be doing over the next month or two.
That'd be pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah,
Is your farm, is it like in your garage or in your house or where is it like physically?
it's in a house. Unfortunately, I'd love to have done the garage thing same as what Adam did, but I
Mm-hmm.
think our winters are a little bit harsher,
Yep.
and you do need to then invest a lot more in all of
Insulating
this,
and
and
everything else.
and you also have to park the car somewhere and all of that stuff.
Yep,
So,
that makes
and
sense. I would
yeah,
like a farm. I think it'd be fun. It'd just be fun to
oh,
tinker and grow.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
If I were in the States, I'd certainly do that. I think in Canada, it's a little bit, it's a so much smaller market and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's a little bit less fun, I think.
Yep. That's fair. A farm a farm is not that fun. I don't know. Dan, I think it would be fun.
Oh, I disagree completely. I think if
Yes.
anything, the farm is for me it's a lot more fun than the main tank.
Mm-hmm.
The main tank is beautiful to look at, and the fish and the corals and waving motions and everything else. But the farm you tinker with all the time,
Yep.
and also you look at the corals from the top, which we
Mm-hmm.
all know adds at least 30% more everything oomph
Yep.
to the corals.
Yeah, I know it's true. I don't know. One day I'll find an excuse for one, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a lack of space for that one point. I'm very curiously like my buddy has a bunch of my old tanks. We'll use his house for now due to lack of
Oh,
space.
there you go.
Yep. Yeah, power heads wise, I would venture to say like, personally on your tank, if you have the money for it, I think a handful of MP40s on the back wall blowing forward would hide all your power heads and give it really easy flow. That's what I've done asked. I mean, I love doing that because then you don't see the power heads. But there's lots
Yeah,
of good options out there.
I agree.
Yep. And you have a pretty big tank, so let's see. There is dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so I don't know. It'd be interesting. Tunesy power heads are, pretty good bang for your buck. I'm also a big fan of the Nero power heads because I like those little pucks. They're fairly minimal and they do some good flow. Gyres are really good value technically, but they're more work to maintain, so it's a bit of a trade-off.
We are living in a pretty good world right now with so many different options.
It's good to have options. I haven't set it up yet. I'm gonna set it up and play with it later, but I got a Toonsy Powerhead. I'm gonna play with one of their bigger ones.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my next one. It's gonna be my temporary coral tank, and I'm curious to see if I can get how much more float will add to my tank if I add those on top of the MP60s.
Mm-hmm.
Might be
Okay.
overkill, might be wonderful. We'll find out soon.
Yes. The only thing is, I guess, the sand, right? You don't want the sand to be blown out too much.
Yep. Back in the day, actually, on my shallower tank, I 3D printed like a little thing that I put on the bottom of the MP40, and I just called it my little anti-sand dune plate because it would just like stop it sucking as much from the bottom.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get creative, or if it's close to the top, it could be your anti like suction bubble thing. But it's just like a little plate that just followed the curvature of it and clipped on.
That is a good one.
Yep, good times. Yeah. Yeah, Than's open house. I'm sad I missed that. It looked fun. So, what else we got? Anything else on the AI techie side of things?
Well, what else you got? Coral, fish, equipment, chemistry. I think where things will also be helpful is maybe calculating the weight of the tank or coming up with options of getting the tank in the house. There's another one. You could the prototyping. So if you go to like my YouTube or aquatic log, I still have photos of me building an actual physical wireframe size with a cardboard or whatever, and putting it in the place where the tank would be. I'm the kind of person that maybe has a harder time imagining things in my head, and especially with the tank is really hard, because if you think that you understand the size of it, but you won't actually feel it until you kind of put it in the tank, right? Because so it's also when you're walking past it, like, is it overcrowding the room? Is it blocking something? Where exactly you're going to fit it? So what I would do for multiple of my tanks is I would actually make something, I'll spend, half an hour, build something, and then I'll put it there, prop it up, and then leave it there for a couple of days to just get a feel for how big the tank is going to be and how it's going to fit in the room. Well, now you don't need to do any of that. You can basically take a photo of the room and then say, put my water box in there, and I bet it will actually do a pretty good job at that.
Yep. I think so too. Yep. Dad bod in the chat, fish compatibility. It's another good one for sure. We talked about it earlier. Oh, just for fun, since you mentioned like how much your tank weighs, so I just threw that in ChatGPT. What's the water box under you 25 weigh full of water? It's at about 2,748 pounds. I'm like, what about rock and gear? Then bumped it up
That
to
sounds about right.
3,297, 3,300 pounds estimated. It's a good chunk.
That's a very accurate estimate, because I know I did mine for my 340, and it's proportionally exact. But I did it the old way. Like, I calculated everything. I spent a lot more time than this.
No, that was pretty solid.
That's
for about
amazing.
3 seconds of typing.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. So there's tons of amazing uses that are just like a massive time savers.
Yeah.
It is crazy what we can figure out now. Yeah, so RMP60 is overkill for your tank. Your tank's 7 feet long, I believe, or 72, 67 feet. If you have them on the end caps, MP60s are great. If you're doing it on the back wall, they're probably overkill, and you can get
Yes.
I would do more MP40s instead for the same price, and just put them on the back wall, shooting back to front, because then you're only pushing water 3 feet. They don't need to be cranked. You don't need as much oomph as going that 6 feet.
I agree, but I ended up putting MP60s on the two sides of the tank. So I kind of did this because I didn't want to see them in the back wall. And also, on a very large tank, it's a lot harder to align those two things. If it's on the back wall, and then, like, my tank is what, 30 inches front to back,
That's
so
nice.
it is very
Yeah.
nice. Yes.
That's the one thing. I wish there was like a version of my tank that was like 30 or
I
inches
know.
or so instead of 25. That extra like 4 or 5 inches, but c'est la vie. The biggest thing of using AI is knowing your system, no different than asking in a group. If you keep your same consistent chat and go on going on and on and on, it will learn your tank, right? But if you're doing new ones all the time, then it wouldn't. So, but yeah, if you ask a group of people, they don't really know your tank per se. So, you might get more value out of, keeping your consistent AI chat going for recommendations.
But I will also make a different point. I would say that we're experiencing something new here, and I'm just kind of imagining that if you rely on AI too much, you will maybe learn less as a reefer longer term, if because you will basically make AI more responsible, like just responsible of driving
Yeah, you
you
won't think
there.
about it as much or like actually learn the lessons.
Yeah.
Yep, it's true. Yep,
So
people
there you go.
rely on it. Less skills, less thinking. You're just like, oh, here it is. Okay. It's a
And,
trade-off.
and then it'll be like, well, I don't know why AI told me, this is what you need to do. Back in our days, we had to walk uphill both ways and in the snow,
Why'd you
right?
do that? I
So
don't know. The AI overlord told me to.
that's exactly right. Like, we actually had to do this, and
Explain your math of walking uphill both ways.
that's what they say. But
Yeah.
I would also say that when you go to, let's say, when I was kind of getting my experience as a reefer, one of the most joyful experiences was going on Reef to Reef and looking at other people's successful aquariums,
Mm-hmm.
and then looking at the build threads and seeing what they do, and then try to emulate that.
Yep.
And I don't think that ChatGPT necessarily will ever quite reproduce this portion.
Mm-hmm.
And there is definitely a lot of learning when you do that.
Yeah. And I mean, following the advice of someone that has a nice tank that, obviously
Hmm.
proves the results that you trust goes a long way too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Very, very true.
Don't get me started on the number of times when I would go to, let's say, Reef to Reef, and like there's like somebody is like, oh, you have to do it this particular way, and then you go and see that person's aquarium and just kind of go, oh, all right.
Everyone just put their tank in their description, in their signature, and then you just know. You're like, yeah, I don't know about
Yeah.
this advice. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, trust you. It's not a bad idea, actually. No, I
There
know.
you go.
All right. Well, I think it was a good random AI rabbit hole today.
I
Appreciate
agree.
the random topic idea / joining me.
Always a pleasure, Devin.
Yep. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed. If you're in Canada, make sure to check out some treasure corals. And otherwise, yeah. If you guys got
See you.
any future topic things you want us to dig down to, throw it in the comments afterwards and do it for some future ones. Otherwise, we're getting whatever random ideas you come up with that week.
Always.
Yep.
We'll have lots of them. And if we run out of them, we'll just ask AI to give us some.
There you go. It's got many
That's very
uses.
meta. All right.
Awesome.
See you next time.
Chris, thanks for the super chat. Everyone else have a wonderful Wednesday, and we will see you guys next week. Cheers.